Welcome to the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, a guide to wealth and happiness. This is not just a book, it is a journey into the mind of one of the most successful entrepreneurs, investors, and thinkers of our time. Naval Ravikant has spent decades distilling the secrets of wealth, judgment, and happiness, and in this book, Erik Jorgensen has compiled his wisdom into a masterpiece that anyone can apply to their own life. Naval doesn't just tell you what to do, he teaches you how to think. He believes that true wealth isn't just about money, and happiness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build, brick by brick, through the right mindset and habits. This book is divided into two major parts, wealth and happiness. Within them, we explore essential topics such as building wealth, building judgment, learning happiness, saving yourself, and philosophy. Each of these sections is packed with actionable insights, life lessons, and timeless principles. This book is not a step-by-step guide, nor is it a conventional self-help book. Instead, it is a collection of Naval's thoughts, experiences, and insights compiled from years of interviews, tweets, and essays. It is designed to be absorbed at your own pace, to be revisited time and time again as you progress in your journey toward wealth and happiness. Whether you are looking to build financial freedom, cultivate a sense of peace, or develop clarity in your decision-making, Naval's wisdom will serve as a guide to help you unlock your full potential. As you listen to this book, take your time. Absorb each lesson, reflect on its meaning, and most importantly, apply it. Building wealth. Making money is not just about luck. It is a skill you can develop. Naval Ravikant believes that wealth is not earned by working harder, but by understanding how value is created and captured. Making money is not a thing you do, it's a skill you learn. This fundamental idea forms the core of his teachings on wealth creation. What is wealth? Naval distinguishes between wealth, money, and status. He explains that wealth consists of assets that generate income while you sleep. Things like businesses, investments, intellectual property, or code. Money, on the other hand, is merely a medium of exchange, a means to transfer time and wealth. Status, however, is about positioning oneself in a hierarchy, which often comes at the expense of others. Seek wealth, not money or status. Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep. Building wealth from first principles. Naval emphasizes that wealth creation is based on first principles rather than copying others. The world rewards those who find creative ways to provide what society wants. You will get rich by giving society what it wants, but does not yet know how to get. At scale, he advises focusing on industries where long-term games can be played with long-term people, as these relationships and commitments compound over time. The power of leverage. One of the core elements of wealth creation is leverage, finding ways to achieve massive results with minimal effort. Naval highlights three types of leverage. Labor, hiring people to work for you. This is the oldest form of leverage, but has limitations. Capital, using money to make more money. This requires permission from investors or institutions. Code and media, the most powerful and modern form of leverage. Content, software, and online products allow you to scale infinitely without permission. Code and media are permissionless leverage. They're the leverage behind the newly rich. Specific knowledge, the key to wealth. Naval stresses that you must develop specific knowledge, a unique combination of skills that cannot be easily taught or replaced. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion, rather than whatever is hot right now. This knowledge often comes from deep interests rather than formal education, and is the key to becoming irreplaceable. Getting paid for your judgment. Rather than being paid for your time, Naval advocates for getting paid for your judgment. He believes that in a world of leverage, decision-making is the highest value skill. Earn with your mind, not your time. Learning how to make good decisions is more valuable than working harder. Equity, the path to financial freedom. Owning equity in a business is the fastest way to wealth. Employees trade time for money, but owners share in the long-term success of a venture. You're not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own equity, a piece of a business, to gain your financial freedom. Patience and long-term thinking. Naval warns against chasing get-rich-quick schemes. Wealth is built over time through smart decisions and continuous learning. All the returns in life, whether in wealth, relationships, or knowledge, come from compound interest. The key is to play long-term games and let compounding work in your favor. Final thoughts on wealth. Wealth is not an end goal, but a means to live a freer and more fulfilling life. Naval urges people to shift their mindset from simply working hard to working smart. When you're finally wealthy, you'll realize it wasn't what you were seeking in the first place. True wealth is about autonomy, self-respect, and the ability to control your time. By applying these principles, anyone can walk the path toward financial independence. The key is to focus on long-term thinking, leverage, specific knowledge, and ownership. Only then can you truly build wealth that lasts. Building judgment. The power of judgment in wealth and life. Naval Ravikant emphasizes that in the modern world, your ability to make sound decisions determines your success far more than the number of hours you work. Judgment is underrated, he says. In an era of infinite leverage, where small decisions can have enormous consequences, developing good judgment is perhaps the most valuable skill you can cultivate. Unlike labor or capital, judgment is a form of leverage that compounds over time. Those who develop exceptional judgment are rewarded not for their effort, but for their ability to make high-value decisions consistently. Thinking clearly, the foundation of judgment. A clear thinker is better than a smart thinker. Naval teaches that intelligence alone is not enough. The ability to see reality as it is, without distortion, is far more powerful than raw intellect. He encourages removing biases, emotional distortions, and societal conditioning to develop true clarity. One of the biggest barriers to clear thinking is identity. When people attach their sense of self to a belief system, whether political, religious, or ideological, they become unable to change their views even in the face of overwhelming evidence. If you can't change your mind, you can't change anything, Naval reminds us. To develop judgment, one must first learn to detach from rigid beliefs and approach ideas with intellectual humility. Mental models, learning how to think. Naval strongly advocates for using mental models, frameworks that simplify complex problems and help make better decisions. He often refers to the models developed by thinkers like Charlie Munger and Richard Feynman. Some key mental models Naval endorses include first principles thinking. Instead of reasoning by analogy, copying what others do, break problems down to fundamental truths and build up from there. This method was famously used by Elon Musk in developing SpaceX and Tesla. Inversion. Instead of asking, "How do I become successful?" ask, "What things would guarantee failure?" and avoid them. Compounding. Understanding that small, consistent improvements in knowledge and decision-making accumulate over time, leading to exponential results. The role of reading in judgment. Naval is an advocate of lifelong learning, especially through reading. Read what you love until you love to read, he advises. Reading widely across multiple disciplines, science, philosophy, history, economics, helps form a broad perspective, enabling better decision-making. He also highlights the importance of filtering out low-quality information. In the digital age, distractions are abundant, and consuming poor-quality media can cloud judgment. He recommends focusing on timeless knowledge rather than ephemeral news. Decision-making in high-stakes situations. Many people fear making decisions because they are afraid of making mistakes. Naval argues that avoiding decisions is often the worst choice of all. If you're always uncertain, you're never going to make progress, he says. Instead of seeking perfect certainty, the goal should be to develop a process that minimizes errors and maximizes learning from mistakes. He suggests 3 key strategies for improving decision-making. Avoid situations where you need to decide quickly. Rushed decisions are often poor decisions. The more time you have to think through a problem, the better your judgment will be. Trust probabilities, not certainties. The world is unpredictable, and no decision is foolproof. The best choices maximize expected value rather than guarantee success. Use skin in the game. Make decisions as if you will bear the consequences. Avoid taking advice from people who don't have to live with the results of their recommendations. Playing long-term games with long-term people. Naval often stresses that great returns in life, whether financial, relational, or intellectual, come from compounding. He advises finding high-integrity people and sticking with them for the long haul. Play long-term games with long-term people, he says, because trust and relationships compound just like financial investments. For example, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have built Berkshire Hathaway into a financial powerhouse not through quick trades, but by carefully choosing investments and business partners over decades. Similarly, a strong personal or business relationship, cultivated over years, creates opportunities that short-term thinkers miss. Final thoughts on judgment. Judgment is not about having all the answers. It's about developing a framework for making better decisions over time. The ability to think clearly, leverage mental models, read deeply, and surround yourself with the right people are all steps toward mastering judgment. A smart person makes a mistake, learns from it, and never makes that mistake again. But a wise person finds a smart person and learns from them how to avoid the mistake altogether. By focusing on improving judgment, you ensure that every decision you make moves you closer to freedom, wealth, and happiness. Judgment, more than effort, determines your success in the modern world. Learning happiness. Happiness is a skill, not an outcome. Naval Ravikant believes that happiness is not something we acquire by achieving external goals. Rather, it is a skill that must be learned and cultivated. Happiness is a choice, he says. Many people mistakenly believe they will be happy when they achieve wealth, success, or relationships. But Naval flips this idea. Happiness must come first, and success follows. He points out that happiness is a state of being, not a destination. A calm mind, a fit body, and a house full of love. These things cannot be bought. They must be earned. If happiness depended solely on external factors, then rich and famous people would be the happiest people in the world. But as we know, they often struggle with anxiety, depression, and unfulfilling lives. The root of unhappiness, endless desires. Naval states that the root of unhappiness is desire itself. Every desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. The more desires we accumulate, the more opportunities for unhappiness we create. Many people constantly chase new achievements, more money, better jobs, bigger houses, thinking these will bring happiness. But as soon as one goal is met, another desire arises. This endless cycle keeps people in a state of dissatisfaction. Naval suggests that instead of chasing happiness through external validation, we should focus on being happy in the present moment. Happiness requires presence. Practicing mindfulness, gratitude, and appreciation for what we already have leads to lasting contentment. Success does not create happiness. Happiness creates success. People often believe that success will make them happy, but Naval explains that the reverse is true. Happiness leads to success. A happy person is naturally productive and creative. When you operate from a place of joy and fulfillment, you make better decisions, attract better people, and create better opportunities for yourself. Naval advises against postponing happiness for a future achievement. If you cannot be happy with a coffee, you will not be happy with a yacht. Learning to find joy in small things makes happiness more sustainable. The power of peace and stillness. Happiness is closely linked to inner peace. Many people fill their lives with noise, social media, constant work, endless stimulation. But true happiness comes from the ability to sit in stillness. Naval shares that one of his greatest realizations was learning to enjoy solitude. If you cannot sit in a room quietly for an hour by yourself, you have a problem. Happiness is not about escaping boredom, but learning to be content in the present moment. Envy is the enemy of happiness. One of the most destructive emotions is envy. Naval warns that comparison is a major roadblock to happiness. Envy is the enemy of happiness. In a world driven by social media, people constantly compare their lives to the highlights of others, making them feel inadequate. The solution? Stop playing status games. Naval advises focusing on absolute happiness rather than relative happiness. Instead of comparing yourself to others, measure your life based on your own values and progress. Happiness is built through habits. Happiness is not a single event, but a collection of daily practices. Naval suggests several habits that contribute to a happy life. Meditation. training the mind to be calm and present. Exercise, keeping the body healthy and energized. Gratitude, regularly reflecting on what you appreciate. Deep relationships, investing time in meaningful connections. Happiness is not a passive experience. It requires daily effort and intentional habits. Finding happiness in acceptance. Finally, Naval teaches that happiness comes from accepting life as it is. Desire is suffering. Acceptance is freedom. Instead of wishing for things to be different, embrace reality. True happiness is achieved not by controlling everything, but by learning to let go. Saving yourself. No one is coming to save you. Naval Ravikant emphasizes a powerful truth. No one is coming to save you. Many people spend their lives waiting for the right opportunity, the right mentor, or for someone else to change their circumstances. But Naval argues that self-reliance is the only path to true freedom. You have to take responsibility for your own life. Save yourself. Choosing to be yourself. One of the first steps to saving yourself is embracing who you truly are. Society constantly pressures people to conform, to follow traditional paths, pursue stable jobs, and seek validation from others. But Naval warns that this leads to a life of unhappiness. Be yourself. No one else is qualified. Many people spend years trying to meet external expectations, only to realize they were chasing someone else's dream. Naval urges people to define their own success and live authentically. Escape competition through authenticity. If you are truly yourself, you have no competition. Choosing to care for yourself. Taking responsibility for yourself means prioritizing your health, both physical and mental. Your body is a machine. If you don't take care of it, everything else in your life will fall apart. Naval highlights the importance of exercise, proper nutrition, and sleep. Without a healthy body, no amount of wealth or success will matter. Mental health is just as critical. A healthy mind is free from fear and anxiety. He encourages practices like meditation, spending time in nature, and avoiding toxic influences. Who you spend time with is who you become. Choose wisely. Meditation and mental strength. Naval is a strong advocate of meditation. He believes that learning to control your mind is the key to saving yourself from suffering. Happiness is the absence of desire. Meditation helps quiet the mind, allowing people to detach from unnecessary worries and stress. He advises practicing stillness daily. If you can sit for an hour in complete silence and contentment, you are truly free. Developing inner peace means you no longer depend on external circumstances for happiness. Choosing to build yourself. Naval believes that continuous self-improvement is essential. The greatest investment you can make is in yourself. Instead of chasing wealth or validation, he advises focusing on building valuable skills and knowledge. Become the best at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. Reading, learning, and developing new abilities give people the power to create opportunities rather than waiting for them. Learn to sell. Learn to build. If you can do both, you will be unstoppable. Choosing to grow yourself. Personal growth is an ongoing process. Naval emphasizes that mindset plays a huge role in success. The world reflects your own attitude. If you believe you can do something, you will find a way. He suggests eliminating limiting beliefs, ideas that keep people stuck in fear or doubt. All greatness comes from suffering. Instead of avoiding pain, use it as fuel to grow stronger. Choosing to free yourself. Freedom is the ultimate goal, but Naval believes it starts internally. The modern struggle is not against oppression, it is against distraction. People are constantly bombarded with media, notifications, and other people's opinions. True freedom comes from removing unnecessary distractions and focusing on what truly matters. Financial independence is one form of freedom, but mental freedom is just as important. You are free when you stop caring what others think. Final thoughts on saving yourself. Naval's philosophy is simple. You are responsible for your own life. No one will hand you happiness or success. You must build them yourself. Happiness, love, and peace come from within. Stop searching for them outside. By choosing to be yourself, prioritizing your health, and continuously learning, you take control of your destiny. The only person who can truly save you is you. Philosophy. the meaning of life, and the search for truth. Naval Ravikant believes that philosophy is not just an abstract pursuit. It is a practical guide to living a good life. He encourages deep questioning, self-exploration, and a commitment to truth. The meaning of life is to understand yourself, he says. The more we align our actions with our values, the more fulfilled we become. Naval warns against blindly following societal norms. If you don't think for yourself, someone else will think for you. He believes most people accept inherited beliefs without questioning them, which leads to living an unfulfilled life. The first step to wisdom is to ask, why do I believe what I believe? Living by your values. Naval argues that true happiness comes from living in alignment with one's core values. Integrity means knowing what you stand for and living by it. Many people compromise their values for money, status, or approval, only to feel empty inside. Naval's advice is to define what truly matters and then structure life around it. He also suggests that true wisdom comes from self-knowledge. A happy life is spent in the pursuit of internal truth, not external validation. Instead of seeking approval from others, he urges people to focus on inner fulfillment. Rational Buddhism, a practical philosophy. One of Naval's favorite philosophical frameworks is Buddhism, particularly its focus on inner peace and detachment from desires. However, he approaches it with a rational mindset, blending Eastern wisdom with Western logic. Naval resonates with the Buddhist principle that suffering comes from attachment. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. He believes that by reducing unnecessary desires, we can achieve greater peace. At the same time, he does not advocate for complete detachment. Ambition is good, but it should not control you. The key is to enjoy the process rather than being fixated on outcomes. The present is all we have. One of Naval's most profound realizations is that the present moment is all we ever truly have. The past is just a memory. The future is just imagination. The only thing that's real is now. Many people live in regret over the past or anxiety about the future, missing the beauty of the present. Naval believes that practicing mindfulness, slowing down, and appreciating the moment is the key to a fulfilled life. Happiness is not something you chase. It is something you realize. The more we learn to let go of unnecessary worries, the more joy we find in everyday life. Final thoughts, a life of freedom and wisdom. Naval's philosophy is centered on self-awareness, personal freedom, and the pursuit of truth. He teaches that wisdom is not about accumulating knowledge, but about understanding life's fundamental principles. His message is simple: a free mind, a loving heart, and a joyful life. That is true success. By thinking independently, aligning actions with values, and focusing on the present, we can achieve both external success and inner peace. Conclusion: Naval Ravikant's wisdom is not about following a rigid formula, but about embracing principles that lead to a fulfilled life. This book is a guide to building wealth, improving judgment, learning happiness, saving yourself, and finding meaning in life. At its core, Naval's message is about freedom, financial freedom, mental freedom, and personal freedom. He believes that everyone has the ability to design their own life, free from societal expectations and limitations. As you move forward, remember Naval's words. The goal is not to be rich or famous. The goal is to be free. True wealth is not just money. It is the ability to live life on your terms, with a clear mind and a joyful heart. The journey does not end here. The real work begins now. Take these insights, apply them, and create a life of meaning, happiness, and wisdom.